Welcome to the Module 3 overview video. This video I'm just going to cover the topics that you'll see in Mod 3 and kind of give you the why for each one. Anyway, so to start off, you're going to be covering Python. So the reason we want you to learn Python is because we use Python to integrate between Ansible and Nautobot. Nautobot is the application that we use to store all the information for our IT assets, whether it's routers, switches, circuits, site information, so we can map sites and all of their assigned devices. So what we do is we actually write Python scripts that pull the data from Nautobot, and then we use that within Ansible to automate things. Okay. Now Python is what we do this with. Additionally, when it comes to programming languages, Python is just a very user-friendly and easy to learn language. It's very flexible and it's widely supported. There are a huge number of different third-party modules out there that you can easily download and start using. And you can do virtually anything you want to with Python. So moving on to the application integration portion of the course, this is where you're really going to learn how to use Python to write API calls. So what an API call is basically when you on your client device sends an HTTP response to a remote web server, and instead of serving up visual web pages that your browser can use, what that API is going to do is it's going to respond with raw data. Okay, now this raw data is typically going to be formatted in Json, and so that's why we're going to then cover JSON. So JSON is just a way of structuring data, and its sister is YAML. Now YAML and JSON contain the same types of data structures, but they just look different. YAML is more user-friendly and easier to read, and so that's why YAML is actually used in a wide variety of applications. So I have some examples pulled up. So on a remote VM, I have a few example YAML files. So the first one is an example of a file that you could actually use with Amazon Web Services. So using this file, or the data within the file, which, by the way, this is YAML, you can tell by the YAML file extension .yml. Anyways, you could use the data in this file to actually deploy resources in your Amazon Web Services cloud. You can also use YAML to write Ansible playbooks, which are basically a list of tasks. You could use them to create Docker Compose files. So Docker is an engine that you can use to containerize applications, but sometimes you might want to essentially dictate how multiple containers interact with each other, and you can use that, or you can do that with Docker Compose. Now, in order to specify how you want the containers to interact, you'd write YAML like so. And then lastly, we have a Kubernetes deployment object. So Kubernetes heavily deploys or makes heavy use of YAML files. You can basically use YAML to define every aspect of your Kubernetes deployment. So it's very handy, and you will end up doing this. So anyways, YAML is used in a wide variety of applications, so it's really important to understand how to write it and read it, especially because for the fourth topic, Ansible, you will have to write playbooks in YAML. Anyway, so Ansible itself, the reason we use Ansible is because it's a really flexible, multi-purpose automation engine. Ansible is supported by the community, and Ansible makes use of what are called modules. So within Ansible, each module has a specific purpose. So for example, there's a module for connecting to Cisco devices. There's a module for connecting to Windows devices, Arista, Juniper, you name it. Anything you want to do, there's going to be an Ansible module for it. And then you just have to use those modules in your playbooks, which again are just lists of tasks. So Ansible is widely supported. We can use it with a number of different types of targets. And it's relatively simple to learn. There are some advanced topics, but to get started with Ansible, it doesn't take a whole lot. So anyways, enough talking about it. I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick demo of what you're going to learn in the course. So let me go ahead and get rid of this examples folder. So on this VM, I have a playbooks directory. And this is going to be the environment where Ansible works in. So the first thing with Ansible, you're going to learn how to create a Python script And this Python script is going to execute an API call to Notabot, and it's going to pull some data for a few devices. And then it's going to take that data and create an Ansible inventory with it. Then you'll learn how to create a playbook. This playbook is going to create a folder, and then what it's going to do is it's actually going to generate the configuration files for the devices in your inventory. Now, when we generate those configuration files, Ansible is going to use something called the Jinja templating engine. So the Jinja templating engine uses something called Jinja templates, which are these .j2 files. And these templates are what are used to render that Cisco configuration file, which, by the way, we're going to generate files for Cisco devices. Anyway, so you're going to learn how to write these templates, which use some coding logic, and then the output is going to look like a minimized Cisco configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this folder because that was there from the previous playbook run. But in my terminal, I've actually gone to the playbooks directory, which you can see off to the left. But the command we're going to run is ansible-playbook-i inventory.py, which is our inventory file. And then the playbook itself, so generate device configs.yaml. And then we're actually going to pass an extra variable to this playbook. So we're going to pass one called log_server. We're going to set that equal to 2.2.2.2. And then we'll go ahead and run this. And so you'll get familiar with looking at the Ansible output, but basically it ran each task in our playbook against every device in the inventory. And so you can see the status for each task. So the first one was set the start time as a variable. The second one, we created a folder to hold the configs. And then the last task, we generated the configuration files using those templates. And now if you look off to the left, the playbook actually recreated that configs directory. And if we drill down, we see 4 folders, each one correlating to a different device in our inventory. And if we keep drilling down, we can see the actual configuration file that we rendered. If we open that, you can see that it's actually a minimized Cisco configuration. Again, we built this, or you're going to build this, using the templates that you write. So again, Ansible is very flexible, and at the end of the day, we're just going to use it to generate some device configuration files using all the previous tools that you learned. Anyways, I know it's a lot, but you'll take it step by step. The lessons will compound on each other, so as you go through the course, make sure you go and review anything that you're not comfortable with. It's very, very important. Go back, do it again. But that being said, if you put in the work, you will get there and you will be able to do all of these things. So with that said, that's all I have for this video. So thanks for watching and have a good one.